Welcome to Speaking of Pets, Take 2.
This week, we are revisiting a previous episode.
Lots of great information. We wanted you to enjoy it twice.
Here's today's episode, created just for you and your pets.
We are so fortunate today, Janet, to have Bob Bryant, who's the co-founder of a nonprofit called Mission Canine Rescue. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you've ever thought, and I don't think many people have thought about this, what happens to these military working dogs, these contract working dogs, and even police canines when they're done doing their job, especially if they're in foreign countries. I've learned from reading a little bit about Bob that I found out that they are deemed excess equipment in these countries and more often than not left behind. So what Bob's organization does is they rescue, reunite, rehome, rehabilitate, and repair these dogs who have given us so much. They've given their all, and they give their lives for us, and then we just leave them there. So, Bob, I can't thank you enough for what you and your group is doing, and we've got a million questions for you. First of all, welcome.
Thank you. It's very nice to be on your podcast, whatever you want to call it today. I do these frequently, and I'm happy to have the opportunity to talk with you. I talk too much, so rather than let me... So, well, I don't know. You may not think that in a minute. You may want me to shut up. And if I talk too much, tell me, interrupt me, please, because I can go haywire. Ask me what you'd like to ask me. I will wax eloquently with the answers. And if I need to give something a little bit more, I'll add to it.
You know what I didn't say, and I meant to, was that your group has saved more than 1,200 military dogs and rehomed with their handlers 600 of those dogs.
Actually, we're up to over 1,300 now, and 682 reunions as of just this last week. It's in the last 10 years, too. We spent over $2 million on veterinary care repairing these dogs that they didn't volunteer for this.
Right.
So.
Right. How did you get this started? Were you a military veteran?
No, I was not. I had experiences, believe it or not, a police cadet in the city of Dallas back when I had hair a long time ago. And I knew some of the canine officers there. And I always liked them, but I really didn't ever see myself doing anything with dogs. My primary business is credit card processing. I deal with e-commerce and retail merchants. I was fishing. Fishing, let's just say trolling big Facebook groups back in 2011 to present a business offer to some nonprofits where I would share revenue if they would refer my services. I met the predecessors of Mission Canine Rescue, and they agreed that it would be a good idea. I got in. They liked what they saw me doing on their Facebook page, and I told them, listen, if you really want to get some donations, we need to spend a little money on advertising. You'll get better exposure. And the then executive director of that organization said, I will never spend money to advertise my organization. 5 months later, Kristen Maurer, my partner and co-founder, called me and said, hey, Bob, so-and-so had to get a real job because we ran out of money. Can you help us co-found this organization? So I did. And 10 years later, I'm very happy. Do we have some struggles still? Yes, absolutely, because the world of nonprofit constantly has its hand stuck out. We need money to operate. We ask and ask and ask. We ask. Sometimes we get a lot. Sometimes we get a little. So it all has to work out. But my spoon in this bowl is to make sure that we're well funded, to make sure that we get good publicity, and that I visit with people just like you to talk about our work.
You and Janet are kindred spirits because Janet heads up a nonprofit.
I do.
Very good. What's the name of your nonprofit?
Well, it's a community fund, and I'm in Connecticut. And
Very good.
Yeah, I've been in the nonprofit world about 15 years. Yep. We serve humans.
Oh, very good. That's very good. No, nonprofits can be wonderful. They can also be absolute holy terrors. The nonprofit world is a very interesting niche.
It is. And people who come from the for-profit world into the nonprofit world are shocked.
Well, that was me. And I still have two for-profit businesses, yep. But every day it's like, what's going on here? I don't get this. Why do these people are crazy?
I have a question. How do you get these dogs, say the dogs that were left in Afghanistan, which I can't even think of how
Yeah.
the horror there. How do you approach that? What's your first step?
Well, first of all, being involved in this work for 10 years, people find us. They know about us. When a soldier's dog is retired overseas and ready to come home, we get a message from that handler. We help that handler. In the case of Afghanistan, these were dogs that were owned by Garda World Canada that were attached to the United States military at the Kabul airport. When the drawdown and the fiasco happened back in 2000, I think, these dogs were just literally left on the tarmac there at the airport. An American guy stayed there. He fed them for a month or two until they were eventually taken by the Taliban. The Taliban has used them in their work capacity. At least they didn't kill them for 3 years, and now they are returning them to a rescuer over in Afghanistan, an American lady. Her name is Charlotte. She runs Kabul Small Animal Rescue, and we've been working with Charlotte for several years. We brought 5 of these dogs home from Afghanistan last year, and now these 9 are coming in. So it's just a leverage of our knowledge, and we've expanded our space. People know who we are, they know what we do, and they know to reach out to us. That's about the best way I can answer that. Before, we would call contractors, hey, we're Mission Canine Rescue. When you have dogs that are, ready to be retired, what do you do with them? How can we help you? And we developed relationships with some of the good contractors that way.
What is a contract working dog? I
Okay,
saw that in your Facebook.
simple.
Explain that.
A contract working dog and a military working dog are trained to do the same things in much the same manner. However, military working dogs are owned by the United States government. Contract working dogs are owned by private contractors. However, they may be attached to the military, they may not be. Contract working dogs serve worldwide.
So there. It sounds to me like there are companies who raise and train the dogs, right?
Yes.
And then they have a contract with the U.S. government. I'm assuming that they get paid for the dogs.
Well, they get paid for the use of the dogs. They get
Dogs.
paid. They get paid for the dog service. However, unfortunately, the contract groups that are not going to be worked by U.S. Military are often going to the Middle East. They're worked as explosives detections dogs, say at airports, other facilities. They're handled by non-Americans, and most of the time by people that hate dogs.
Oh,
And
yeah.
because of that, we see a lot of dogs once they're retired, they're kenneled, they're not fed properly, they get no vet care. It's very it makes me angry. Some of
Wow.
the
That's what I was
situation.
going to ask you, if there was any veterinary care for those dogs while they're overseas.
Yeah, yeah. For the military dogs, the government-owned dogs always get the best care. Now, are they using crap to clean their kennels and things like that that give them, problems with, bleach-related cleaners that, inflame their eyes? You know all about that.
Yeah.
Um, but contract working dogs, they may not get the same level of vet care. For instance, let's say a dog needs TPLO surgery. It just may be minor, not too severe. The military working dog is going to get it, probably going to be retired. The contract working dog is still going to be worked with it.
Oh.
And when they retire, they're often not fed well, and half the time they don't even get out for exercise. Now, please, though, don't damn all the contractors. There are some very good contractors, but unfortunately, there's more bad ones than good ones. And we hope one day that the public will get up in arms enough about this that they will demand that the United States government require contractors to provide a bond securing their dogs' food and vet care and transportation home. And without it, they don't go in the first place. And I'd love for us not to be needed. It would be
Sure.
great. But,
How much? What's the cost? I work with trying to rescue dogs,
mhm.
so I know how. I know the expense of getting these dogs from China to here to avoid the slaughter trucks. But what's the cost of, say, bringing one of those contract dogs over here?
From Afghanistan, it's about a $6,000 plane ride.
Okay, that's what I
Wow.
thought. Yeah.
From Iraq, it's about 2,500. Same thing with Jordan, Qatar, other Middle Eastern companies. Generally, we will fly as a group to the Middle East, and then we can fly. One human can take two dogs as an escorted thing, so we get flights cheaper there. Guam can be as much as $8,000
Oh,
to get a
wow.
dog home. I mean, it's very remote, so I mean, it's what you get. It's just the cost of the travel, and airlines, unfortunately, they're going to fill that cargo space, and they don't care, who it's filled with. They're not discounting it. Now, the
So,
government does have to, according to the law that was signed in 2016 by Obama, a National Defense Authorization Act extension, military is technically required to bring dogs home at their expense, but they still manage to get around it at times. Um, and it kind of makes me mad. We've had some results from them, but sometimes we've called them and remind them, hey, you need to put this dog on a rotator flight home from Japan. Otherwise we're gonna, this handler, we're gonna have to raise $6,000 to get that dog home, and you're actually breaking the law. And we're not making any fans with some kennel masters, and as a result, I'll see that kennel master reach out to another unnamed organization, and then we'll see a big email blast with them raising money to get the dog home. It's the military's job to pay for it. Quit letting them skirt the legal ramifications of
Yeah.
the law. Bring the
And
damn
and
dogs home.
enforce it and enforce the law.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
so
So
go ahead.
most of the dogs are older then, I would assume.
An average dog I see retired is about 9 years old. Dogs are retired when they lose their work drive or there's an injury of some sort. And I've seen dogs, I've seen a Belgian Peruvian that was 13 years old, still working as a military working dog when it was retired. Died 6 months later. Imagine that. What a retirement. Uh, Most of them 8 or 9, some 10. That's the general range. Now we'll see some younger dogs that wash out at 4 or 5 for various reasons, and they'll be available too. But the
Wow.
Is it
majority
usually
are older.
is it usually orthopedic problems that they're suffering from?
It's a mixed bag. We see a lot of cancers in working dogs just because of the compounds they're exposed to. We see a lot of pannus,
Yeah.
eye issues. I've seen some very odd cancers. We do see a lot of joint issues, a lot of back problems, a lot of TPLO, ligament tears. Uh, yes, to answer your questions directly, yes, I would say some. The biggest thing we see is a lot of dogs from PTSD or mishandling, not by the military. The military handlers are awesome, but the foreign handlers, we'll see dogs just shut down from PTSD because when a working dog won't release their toy, they won't work anymore until that toy is released because they're working for the toy. Well, these foreign handlers will beat the dog or choke them out. And as a result, they get PTSD, and after a while, they're done with these people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's the process for a military dog? So the dog is trained and then assigned to one person, or is it to a group and then they're deployed and they go to, like, Afghanistan? So is that dog with one
No,
military handler? No.
no. Military working dogs are trained by the Lackland Joint Task Force Military Working Dog Program in San Antonio, Texas. From there, the dogs are deployed to the branch of service that needs them, and then they are then sent to their duty location. An MWD can have up to 5 handlers in the dog's career. At the end of the dog's career, the government decides which handler has the opportunity to adopt the dog. Now, let's say that the handler that's chosen to adopt the dog had a patrol dog that ate Afghani rebels alive, and he's got a 5-year-old kid at the house. Well, obviously, that's not going to work out real
Not a
well.
good match. Yeah.
So that handler then is going to reach out to one of the other handlers and say, hey, the dog's available. Most of the time, that military working dog, that government-owned dog, is going to have a good retired life because they're going to go to a handler. Some military working dogs, though, don't, and there are some available for adoption. I've had 2 military working dogs since I've been in this organization that were not with their handlers. Contract working dogs almost always have rotating handlers in just a general scenario. They can have one guy handle the dog one day, another one handles them the next, just kind of potluck.
So how do those handlers, are there, sounds ridiculous, is there specific like training language they all know?
Oh yes, yes.
Okay.
Most of the dogs are trained in German,
Mm-hmm.
uh, or some. Actually, my dog. I have a retired police canine from the Quebec, Canada area. His name is Navy. He's trained in French and German. So when I want him to lay down, I tell him coucher, and he'll lay down. But he understands sit, and he understands get 'em Navy, get 'em. Uh, which we don't ever use. But no, most of the times, no, the dogs are trained. Most of the time, their command is in German.
So is there a difference in sort of the attitude or the spirit of a trained dog like this?
Oh yeah.
Your average, you know, like my golden retriever who's, you know, pleases everyone.
Well, it's the nature of the breed. Labradors and Goldens and Beagles and Springer Spaniels.
Right.
In fact, tell me something. Why do you think TSA uses Beagles and Labs and Goldens and Springer Spaniels and those kind of dogs
Because
instead of it's, what did you say?
people aren't afraid of them.
That's right. They're afraid of the pointy-eared dogs.
Yep.
Shepherds, Malinois, they freak them out. They're
Yeah.
more likely to, oh, look at the little lab. Let's pet the lab. But no, the attitude is definitely with the breed. For instance, the Belgian Malinois is basically the velociraptor from hell. They are faster, lighter, they have more bite strength than German Shepherds, their hips are better, and they're psycho. They're absolutely insane dogs. I mean, the little puppies, you'll have scars on your ankles after raising a Malinois puppy. They're little ankle biters, literally.
Oh.
And they have to have, these dogs need a job. And so that's what they're taught how to work. They're taught to search. They're taught that when they find whatever this odor is, that they get to play with their favorite toy. And so it's a game to them. My Shepherd is a patrol and drug dog. Every day, not every day, thank goodness, but when I walk him at the parks and trails around here, he finds me all kind of drugs.
Lucky
He'll
you.
he'll alert on a bush. I'll look down there. It's a meth pipe. I'm like, no, Navy, we don't need that. He found a bag of weed last week,
Woohoo!
but
I
it
believe it though.
but it was soggy, so I threw it in the trash.
You could have a side business, Bob.
That's
No,
what I was thinking.
no. It's California. It's legal out here. We don't care. But no, I'm not. No, I'm not into the devil's lettuce. At any rate, but at any rate, I don't know. I lost my train of thought. But no,
That's right.
the shepherds and the Malinois are the big bad boys. They don't use the Dobermans anymore. That pretty much went out of style. However, you'll still see a lot of Rottweilers used over in India. They like the dogs. They like them over there. But they're too heavy. Their joints are crap. They're inbred, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's
Too
just
much
my
lymphoma too. You
yes.
know, the other thing that impressed me, Bob, about your group is how you don't adopt these dogs to just anybody.
Oh no.
You match them right, and that the two organizations that I work with, rescue groups, are the same way.
Oh yeah.
They don't let anybody. They match a family up with that particular personality of that dog. So you want to talk about that, about who's
Yeah.
eligible or what you
Okay.
look for.
First of all, the main criteria is that you're able to afford the cost of senior veterinary care, and that you're going to get that because we can't pay for vet care for owned dogs.
Right.
Now, we also want to make sure that adopter has the time to spend with the dog, being active with the dog. You don't put a Belgian Malinois in the house and just leave it go to work. The dog will eat your house. You don't want to do that. Same thing with some shepherds. They need to be active. Navy gets walked about 3 miles a day. Plus he's with me constantly, and they need to be busy. They also need to be inside with the family. If you're going to stick a dog out in the yard, don't adopt one of our dogs. We won't let you do it. Also, don't ask for a dog to protect you. This is like asking Grandpa to fight for you. Grandpa might win the fight, but he might not be in real good shape after. If you really need a protection dog, which I really candidly don't think that many people do. Get a young dog that's trained for it, and
Mhm.
then have good liability insurance and keep your head on the swivel. Because I can tell you that from having a bite trained dog that hates every other dog and hates every other person, uh, don't get close to people. Don't let people close to you. I've taken a bite from this. Well, he's down here laying on the floor. I don't know if he'll jump up here or not, but I've taken a bite from him because a friend that was deaf came up to me and I said, Richard, stay there. And
Yeah.
maybe he was just laying down. Next thing I know, Richard sticks his hand out to shake mine. Up comes Jaws. I just turned and
Yeah.
took it. And he looked at me like, did I do something wrong? Like, yes, you want to out right now. And so he let me out, and some good lady had her Melaleuca tea tree oil and scrubbed it all in my little wound, and all was good in the world.
Wow.
Also, how many other pets they have. If you got
Oh,
if you
yeah.
got a house full of cats and dogs, don't adopt a working dog. Most working dogs will eat your cat and your other dogs. Very few are compatible. Now, mine, believe it or not, uh, we have a cat I actually took a stuffed exact reproduction of this cat, an American snowshoe, looks kind of like a Siamese, and we took it when we went to pick him up in Canada, and I rubbed that stuffed cat all over my cat at home, and I set it next to him. I made him smell it. I would tell him no when he go to put his teeth on it. And so when he got to the house, he didn't aggress the cat, and they've been friends ever since. However, our daughter got two other cats, Candy Crush and Buttons the Terrible. Buttons the Terrible and Candy Crush don't like Navy, and every time they see him, it's like, they're doing this. And so he wants to kill both of them. So they're very selective with who they like. And he would be any of your friends in 15 minutes with some beef jerky and a little
Yeah.
calmness. But get him and look him in the eye, he wants to eat you.
That's his job.
Yes, it is.
And you know what? And I think that's where a lot of people with good intentions, oh, he's a retired military dog, I want to give him a home. I get that, but the criteria, they have to understand these are working dogs.
And
You
they're
know,
strong.
absolutely. And if anything, they need respect. I mean, whenever I would have a police officer in with the police dog, man, I respected, the ones I saw were from the Czech Republic, and they were German trained, and so
Yeah,
if I wanted
Navy's from the Czech Republic.
from Czech
Yes.
Republic, yeah, and whatever I wanted the dog to do, I would ask the officer, and then he would relay that in German. Seats, plot,
Yeah.
Seeds,
yeah,
plots,
yeah,
beaten. Yeah.
yeah.
Hey, did you know that Blue Buffalo makes prescription diets that are formulated by animal nutritionists and veterinarians? And they're used for dietary needs such as kidney support, gastrointestinal support, weight management, and our favorite, allergy and skin problems.
They make a food allergic diet that's an alligator based called NP or a hydrolyzed salmon based for dogs and cats called HF.
So please ask your veterinarian about Blue Buffalo prescription diets.
Hi everyone, I'm Larry. Some of you know me as Grandpa Larry, and I run Larry's Animal Safari on YouTube, where we share sweet and educational videos about baby gorillas, zoo animals, and the amazing teams who care for them. If you love animals of all kinds, I'd love to have you join us. You'll meet little ones like Jamila and Kayembe, learn how zoo families grow, and enjoy real moments that bring joy and curiosity to animal lovers everywhere. Just search Larry's Animal Safari on YouTube or click the link in the show notes. New videos go up weekly, and each one supports awareness for animal care and conservation. Thanks to Speaking of Pets podcast for all they do. Now, let's get back to the show.
So where does your organization get your funding? Is it from private donors?
It's from private donors, and we also get some foundation funding. We've been very fortunate with that. We've had some bequests left to us over the past few years. I hate for anybody to pass away, but we appreciate their funding. Right now, this first quarter has been extremely difficult for fundraising. We're not getting our normal funding from foundations, and individual funding is slow. I've had to go literally on the beg train for the last couple of months, to kind of just keep floating. And we've had to cut our activity back a little bit because we've had a bit of a shortfall in funding, and we don't have a huge reserve. that we sit on. However, 91% of your dollar goes to our work. We're
That's
not,
great.
we're not one of these 70% and let's
Yeah.
blow 30% on first class seats on the airplane.
Right.
Nobody sits in leather chairs. Nobody flies first class or stays at five-star hotels. Crystal and Louisa run the roads with these dogs. In fact, they're renting 2 vans and driving to Washington, D.C. next week to pick up the 9 dogs from
Oh,
Afghanistan. And they'll
great.
be chronicling that when they come back. And we hope that people will be compelled to give based on that, because we didn't raise the total cost of their transport.
Yeah.
But we went out on a limb and we went ahead and said, okay, bring them on in, and then we'll try. Hopefully they're medically sound. We'll find that out when we get back. But before a dog is adopted, they're totally evaluated by our organization. They're taught to come in and out of a ranch house. They're checked with people. They're checked with other dogs. They're checked with cats. Are they crate aggressive, food aggressive, fence aggressive, whatever aggressive? Are there any particular triggers that set them off? People ask me, well, how do you fix a dog's PTSD? You don't. You just learn to recognize what triggers it and you avoid the trigger.
Wow.
I'm curious, Bob, I might be able to help you with this. Do you have any pet food companies that work with you?
We have some. We don't have any currently that are doing it. And yes, food obviously for 45 dogs in our care at this point is a significant expense. Our cost to run our organization on a weekly basis, including kennel techs, payroll, and everything, is about $30,000 a week.
Wow.
And that's I don't take a salary, so that's not
Right.
me getting paid. And our founders, Kristen, makes $70,000 a year, and she works $80,000 a week. And one person had the nerve to suggest that was too much money. That's poverty in the state of California. She couldn't live out here on 70 grand a year
Yeah.
without a roommate.
Do you have certain veterinary surgeons that you work with that will give you a break on some of these
Yes,
surgeries,
yes,
hopefully?
yes, yes. We have a few, and none of them will do it for nothing, and we don't expect them to do it for nothing. But yes, we have some that Gulf Coast veterinary specialists in Houston.
Yep.
Also, up in Tomball, Texas, we have a good veterinarian there. It's just it's a necessary thing, and we just bear it when we have to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Um, give us an interesting adoption story, like one that really warms your heart.
Well, I'll tell you a story about our Marine veteran handler, JD, and his dog, military working dog, Attila. They'd been separated for a couple of years, and Kristen brought Attila to the Midway Airport up in Chicago. And JD evidently saw them before they saw him, and and this is on YouTube. You can find it, military working dog Attila. You can hear JD make this little squeaking, squealing noise, and Attila goes streaking, dragging Chris down the airport to get to him. It's great.
Oh,
Pardon me.
I just assumed that when the dog was a working dog, it stayed with one handler, for
No,
life. Do you
no,
know what I mean? And
unfortunately
even,
not.
wow, wow.
No, and many times the dogs are just taken away from the handlers for no reason. Sometimes, not necessarily the military, but in police departments, we see that a lot. And while we do, while we do accept police canines, it's not that often because it's very difficult for us to find someone who has the skills to handle a bite trained dog. And we don't want them misused. We don't want to see a dog euthanized because he had a bite somewhere because an owner was not knowing how to handle the dog.
Right.
So when the
And
dog,
police departments don't have anything in place for the
yeah,
dogs. We get 4 requests a week at least. We need to check this dog. Well, how many bites does he have? Well, he went up the leash and bit the handler. And I told one guy, I said, that's on the handler. That's not on the dog.
yeah,
That's how he's handling his dog, and he probably deserved to get the bite. Well, we're going to put this dog down if you can't take him. I said, buddy, you don't need to threaten me with that BS. I said, if you're going to put down a dog that serves you, I said, the damnation's on you, not me.
good for you.
So, but they need to have a lifetime plan for these dogs, even if it's a hospice kennel where the dogs are cared for, where they're taken out, where they're exercised. But there's not enough money for their canine departments in the first place,
You're
so they
right.
don't get it.
You're right. I know when we used to no charge any police dog that we saw, because I remember we saw one of the police dogs from Cleveland, no, Tri-C, which is a college in downtown Cleveland.
Right.
And it was a female handler. And to be honest, Bob, the dog was darn friendly. He'd come in and put his paws right up, how are you doing, everything. We never charged them because she said money was a big factor in whether they're going to be able to keep this dog or not. So we tried to keep expenses as low as we could.
That's very kind of you.
Well, I'm not saying that for that, but no,
Oh,
it
no,
is.
no,
I'm
no,
not
no.
saying-
I know you're not saying it, but still,
Yeah.
it's very kind of you to do that.
Well, personally, I can't imagine why any veterinarian wouldn't give you a break for these dogs. I mean, this is why we all went into veterinary medicine, to help these dogs and keep them healthy. But, I understand
The reason
way
is
the world
because the reason is because private practices are being bought out by the Banfields of the world, and they have their criteria. My local veterinarian, Dr. Yadashevsky, wonderful lady, bought out by Banfield. I'm sure she's set for life, but she and the other vets still work there, and she still cares for my animals, but that she's bound to do whatever Banfield, has to do.
And here's an example of that, because I was a sole practitioner by myself as well. And when I retired, I had an offer from corporate. I wouldn't do it. I didn't sell. I sold the real estate. I didn't sell the practice. But here's an example. In New York City, a private practice was charging $27 for a rabies shot in 2022. They were bought out by corporate, private equity group, which is now the thing. They buy them, they flip them. Now $50 for the same rabies shot in 2024. Yeah. I'm so against corporate, I can't even tell you. I think it's because people our age, Bob, Janet, you're a little younger than we are, but I see what it's doing to the profession, and I hate it.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Sorry to be on my soapbox, and I know I get on this every podcast, but I can't stand it. People cannot afford to treat their pets anymore. They just can't.
But it's also
No.
human medicine.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's gone by the wayside a long time ago.
My doctor tried to put me on all this crap, and I just I changed my diet, and I changed my health. And I'm going to have a visit with him in about 3 days via telemed, and I'm going to get to laugh at him and say, "Remember when you said I needed all this? I didn't need all of that, and here's why." No, I know I had a mini stroke a year ago, and recovered from it in 4 months. It was no big deal, but he was telling me it was because of this and this and that. And no, it was because Fat Bob was eating too much sugar.
Yeah.
And you
Sugar
cut out
is it.
you cut out the sugar, you cut out the insulin spiking, and your blood pressure goes down, everything goes down.
Yeah.
And I'm in perfect health again because I
And
was
Fat
stupid.
Bob was walking with Navy 3 miles a day.
Yeah, well,
That's true.
my wife walks about a mile and a half of that, and I'm a jiu-jitsu black belt, so I fight 4 days a week. But
Wow.
that's what I do to keep from weighing 265 pounds ever again.
I'm a great believer in let food be thy medicine. And same, not only in human medicine, but in veterinary medicine.
Oh,
All
yeah.
these drugs and crap and Bob, you'll love this. I just read a study where when they push through in human medicine a new chemotherapy, 5 years later, they find, well, maybe that really didn't help at all. I would hate to be one of those that was taking it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's
Yeah,
unfortunately we see that a lot. Cancer treatments are hideously expensive. My lab Oreo had a very rare anal cancer, anal gland sarcoma, and they treated it with radiation. $24,000 later, he lived 2 more years. So he had 2 more good years of life, but still, just the cost of that sort of treatment is high, and most people would euthanize at that point. But his life was worth more than that to us.
How often did you do it daily for 5 days, or what was your regimen? Because they have to be put under for that too.
He went in. He went in it was once a week. He went in
Once a week.
for
Okay.
5 weeks. They targeted his rear end. They blasted it with
Yeah.
a gamma rays, whatever. And he tolerated very well. The burning was horrible. You know how it goes. That's radiation treatment is ugly, and not the best in the world.
Yeah.
So Bob,
Yeah.
when the dogs are in the field, and so out in Afghanistan and I don't know what they call it, an encampment, and everybody goes to bed. Does the dog go in a kennel? Does the dog sleep
Yes.
with the handler? Okay.
So out in the field, the dog will sleep with the handlers. Yes, but if they are at a forward operating base, the dogs will be kenneled. there. But no, in the field, I know you'll see dogs sleeping in the sleeping bags with the handlers.
Oh,
And they're not like leashed or anything.
No,
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 well,
because the dogs they're going to know
they're trained.
they're patriots. They're other soldiers in the or Marines in the unit. They're going to know them, and they're not going to be aggressive toward them.
Wow.
you know what's also scary? Some of the diseases like leishmaniasis, things that they have over there
What's
that we
that?
don't have here, but
What's-
now we're starting to see here for some reason. I'm not blaming the dogs that come over here, but you also have to kind of think worldwide as a vet when you're treating these dogs, as opposed to just what's Cleveland, Ohio, and my dog has allergies to oak trees here type thing. Yeah.
What's leishmaniasis?
You get it from sand fleas, and it can,
Oh.
well, me being into skin and allergy, it has skin lesions, but it can also go full body. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So I bet, Bob, those dogs are heavily vaccinated against everything that could be over there.
Oh yeah, they come with a record jacket that's just you can see every inoculation they've had. Bordetella, rabies, Lyme disease, and sometimes they may be vaccinated to excess. I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but I'm not an over-vaxxer either.
Same here.
So
Bob, Janet and I were raised, our mother practiced natural hygiene. We were never vaccinated for anything.
anything.
Really
And so
interesting.
then when I got into vet school, I had to have rabies vaccine, and I got really sick. Yeah, we were raised on, she had water trucked in, non-fluoridated water, carrot juice. I hate to say this again because we've talked about it, but then Janet was the bonus. My mother was 45 when she had her, and she stopped the carrot juice because she had to fight with this little one to
I
take
wouldn't
it.
drink
Oh boy.
Yeah,
But-
I agree with you about the over vaccination.
But I was never, I was never vaccinated. I had all those diseases, but when I went to have my son, my older son, vaccinated for polio, he was like a year old, and I told, it was our pediatrician in California, and she just looked at me and said, "I've never had this happen. I have to call."
They don't know what to do.
She didn't know what to do. She goes, and so she had to call the CDC because the kids' vaccine was live, and so it would be in the diaper, and so I had to be vaccinated before they would even,
Yeah.
vaccinate my kid. So
Yeah, polio I can see getting the vaccine
I can
for,
see
but
Absolutely.
yeah.
Didn't they just find it in the water in New York
But
City?
Yes,
but
they
not
did
that
find it.
but not that recent little mystery COVID illness.
Right. Or the Mpox.
Yes, the mpox.
Oh wait, but there's
exactly.
there's a measles breakout in the Hasidic community in
New York.
Manhattan. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no
Bob,
thanks to measles.
how old are your dogs, Bob?
Uh, Navy is 8 years old currently.
Oh, yeah.
He was retired early in Canada. Dogs are euthanized if they're separated from their handler and they're bite trained. This dog was separated from his handler. There was some issue. I'm not sure really what it was. It's none of my business, so I didn't get into it. But they basically said, "Hey, we got a real good dog. We don't want to see this dog get put down." We had an old Malinois at that time, which is nearly 14. He was about to pass, and Navy was not aggressive to him because he was no threat to him. And so we agreed to adopt him. Oreo, our Labrador Retriever, was 8 when he was adopted. Oreo was a case of poor military planning. Oreo was left in Iraq without water over a weekend, and he got extremely ill, and he had to have 8 inches of his intestines cut out as a result of it. But he was still just fine. He lived till 14, and then military working dog Nora was a Czech Shepherd that did over 6,000 vehicle and barrack searches down in Marine Corps Recruiting Depot in Oceanside, California. And unfortunately, she passed at 11 from hemangiosarcoma, which you know what that is. It's a very nasty blood cancer. We removed her spleen, and it had traveled to her gut. And one night, I looked over pale gums, and she was bleeding out internally. She died on the way to the vet.
Yeah. I've had a dog that died of hemangiosarc as well, and so I still follow the progress there, and there's been very little.
There was a test injection she had where you gave her a shot in the belly every day, and she tolerated it, but it didn't help.
Yeah.
So are there veterinarians in the field? Because these dogs are going to have their, regular checkups and vaccines, right?
At foreign operating bases, yes.
Yeah.
Not in there are no veterinarians in the field with the soldiers. They have, trauma kits. But any stuff the dog gets at the foreign operating base.
Like the MASH unit, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
That's a good reference.
So, Bob, I have to ask you our question.
What's that?
Oh,
Ask me.
What is your pet or human peeve?
What's my pet peeve? People that think they know everything about everything, but really know nothing about nothing, but they're determined that you're going to acknowledge that their opinion is correct.
I'm going to quote that one, Al.
that's the exact reason I retired, what he said. Thank you, Bob. I'm going to
No,
needlepoint that.
I have absolutely dressed down some idiots at veterinary offices who have been rude to the vet techs and receptionists. You know, how dare you ask for money up front? I looked at them and said, you know how many people would walk out of here never paying? And I
Yep.
said, I'm betting you're one of those people. That's why you need to pull out your credit card and give it to them and care enough about your animal to pay for their care. Show me that you love your dog by doing it. And the guy almost went in tears.
Good.
Good for you.
I mean, I was there at 11 o'clock at night with an ingestion. A stupid dog ate 3 feet of cat blanket. Anyway, that's another thing. And they were able to get it to move. Next day, that dog, it was like doing a magic trick. I pulled 3 feet of cat blanket out of that dog's ass. It was great. And he
You
was
know, I
looking
love
back
when
like,
they pass
what's that?
stuff.
What's that?
Yeah, I love when they pass stuff. You know, Bob, we had on a friend of mine who's a soft tissue surgeon, and he said the two most common things he's getting out of their stomachs now is what, Janet? Tampons and
corn
thong
pop.
underwear.
No. He doesn't get
Oh,
underwear.
they passed the
anymore.
thong underwear.
So
That's
small.
right.
It's
Yeah, that's
corn
right.
pops,
Yeah.
which I was like, that's like a roto-rooter going through there.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
we were missing our cat's little red mouse one day, and Oreo pooped it out. So
Oh,
there you
good
go.
deal. Good deal.
Well, this week in Wild Kingdom here at our house, we had bird feathers twice all over the back patio, like all
Oh
over
boy.
it, blew up. Four chipmunks and 2 mice. It was a
Wow.
busy week. That was like in 2 days.
You have her vaccinated for leptospirosis, right?
Whatever you tell me to do.
Yeah, well, make sure if she's getting all those little rodents, you got to do lepto yearly.
Well, I try and get them before, and I pitch them over the hill. So someday, 100 years from now, somebody's going to find all those bones. It has been a pleasure getting to know you and the good work.
Oh,
you
I
Thank
do.
you.
loved
We're
it.
so grateful. Thank you for helping all these dogs.
And I'm going to try to talk to some of my dog food manufacturer people to see if they can do something for you guys.
Cool. That would be good. And let me tell you guys where your followers, your audience, can go to learn more about us.
Please do.
On Facebook, we're simply Mission, the letter K, the number 9, Mission K9. We have 122,000 active, engaged fans there. Most of our updates are there. And our website is missionk9rescue.org. And we appreciate you liking the page. If you like what we do and would consider a donation, we promise we'll make you proud with what we'll do, and you'll look back smiling 6 months down the road at what your donation's done for these great dogs.
And we will put a link to that at the end of the show, won't we, Duke? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Duke. You're awesome, Duke, who said
He
nothing
is.
this entire conversation.
Oh, here you are. I'm following you. This is great.
Ladies, gentlemen, y'all have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Bob.
We were given a 1954 Ford Vanette. It's like a UPS van. I had it towed down here from Sonoma the other day. I've got it at a local Ford dealer. It's registered, it rides and drives, getting it checked out. I've got to go clean all the trash out of it, so that's what I'm going to do.
How fun!
Then I'm going to get it cleaned up, brightened up, made pretty, and then we'll flip it and sell it, and then the organization gets the money.
Oh,
All right,
that's
y'all have a
cool.
good day. Thanks for having me
Bob.
on. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for watching.
And listening.
We like likes.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can follow us on social media at Speaking of Pets.
And give your pets a big kiss from the Novotny sisters.
The Speaking of Pets podcast is an SLA video production.